Hey, it's Aiden with Lead Freak. Want to ask you a question. Are you noticing that it's a lot harder to prospect from a B2B perspective and it's getting more difficult all the time? Well, if you're like me, you're noticing a lot of changes. Things like SMS rules and regulations compliance being a lot tighter, email being very compliant and compliance issues, and now even phone organizations now making sure that you have lists that have people opted in. So just having a list to call people is not allowed in some organizations. So it's all kind of changing. And the question is does it go back? Or does it stay this way? Who knows? But what I do know is that if we're still using old ways, it won't open new doors. And if we're just relying on traditional walking in the door, traditional maybe phoning, maybe emailing, if we're just using those methods, depending on the industry you're in and the part of the world you're in, it might work better in some areas than others. But what I do know is that it's becoming more and more of a challenge. It's becoming more and more of a challenge because not only is technology disrupting things, but people are adopting those technologies and they're focused on other things. So they don't answer calls now that they might have 10 years ago. If they don't recognize the number, most of the time they don't collect it. SMS, if they haven't opted in and said yes, I want SMS, that's now against the law. Email is like that depending on the country you're in. You have to have permission, and if you do market to them and email it to them, it has to be a subject line, the ability to opt out, and you can get in trouble for spamming. You can prospect and say, hey, are you the person in charge of? But depending on where you are, those regulations stop the benefit and the ability to prospect effectively. So we need to look at new ways. We need to get a new mindset, a paradigm shift, and we need to start looking at other ways, if we're not already, on how we can do this to grow our business. Most of us, many of us didn't grow up with technology, so it's very intimidating. We don't know what to do. And so I'm here and we are here to try to have this show, this podcast, the information we share to make your world a little easier. That is our purpose. That's what we're trying to do. Hello. All right. So today I want to talk about mindset equaling new results. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, one of the things that really resonated and worked for me, that really kind of helped change my career, was I was a sales guy. I still am a sales guy. But I went to university as an adult student in my mid 30s in around 2008 on a 3-year program at Knights. And we had, we each had our own teams. It was a great experience. And we did a bunch of case studies and just really what it did was it took me out of having a sales guy's mindset and having a businessman's mindset. And so I like to take a business executive mindset to selling, and it's becoming more and more the primary way to sell. But in 2008, it wasn't as prominent, and it's still not in a lot of industry, in a lot of sectors. But what it did was it gave me a new mindset, a paradigm shift, and made me realize the world didn't revolve around me, and that as a salesperson, I'm just a piece of the marketing mix. I'm a piece of the a demand side of the business. That a business has all these different things they do for to create demand, and sales is just a little piece inside the promotion of the marketing mix. And I recognize that although I thought the world revolved around me, that it wasn't. There was other things. Sales is very important. I'm not diminishing sales, but from a business perspective, it is a piece of what happened. It used to be a very vibrant piece. It used to be almost the only, the primary way someone got business, because it was very expensive to put ads on the newspaper, and newspapers are very expensive to put ads on radio, and it's very expensive to put ads on TV, and you didn't know what happened. The old saying was, I know 50% of my marketing works. I just don't know what 50%, right? Because you put the money out and you're casting, so much out to people, and it costs penny per person, but getting those results is hard. And that's why salespeople were created. And then they created, started them on commissions back in the, 100 years or so ago, right? And people, they got commissions. So it didn't cost the business much. They had a guy go out, get business, come back, they give him a piece, right? So we need to look at selling and having it from a business perspective. And the one thing I got out of the business school, the primary thing I got out of the business school, can be easily summed up in Robert Kiyosaki's Cash Flow Quadrant, is switching over to the B quadrant. I was a sales guy. I wasn't self-employed, but I was self-employed in the sense that I didn't have any systems. I just did. I had a territory. I had a list of accounts, and I'd go see them every 3 weeks, whatever it was. And that was my system. But that was it. But now with technology and things like that, we have to have a system. And you can have a system, and you can have a system that works for you. Now, the system that works for you is your selling system, and you're using technology now to do that. So you have technology, not people, working that system for you. Now, you still can have some people, but primarily it's the system. So let me give you a very quick analogy. My first job was at Wendy's. Now, I didn't know it at the time. I got a job at Wendy's. I was getting paid $3.65 an hour. And Wendy's had started like 10 or 15 years before that. And within 10 years of Wendy's being open, he opened 3,000 franchises across the board. And when I worked at Wendy's, what the thing was that I didn't recognize why at the time was you had these burgers, and they had a system, and they would flip. And then once they got to be a little brown, they went down the chute, and they became chili meat. And that's why Wendy's makes chili. So they have fresh hot burgers all the time. When you go past in midnight, whatever, you're probably going to get a hot burger. You're going to get a heated burger from someone else. In most cases, in a microwave burger, or you're going to wait 20 minutes, half an hour. At Wendy's, you're going to probably get a burger pretty quick, unless there's a massive lineup, because they're not losing that inventory. They have a system. And so I recognize the importance of having a system. And you need to have a system for your business. You need to have a system for selling, because technology can help where salespeople fail. And salespeople fail on the follow-up. And the reason they fail on the follow-up is because they're pulled in so many different directions. They're asked to prospect, they're asked to close, they're asked to maintain, they're asked to put out fires, they're asked to go, customers mad, they have, someone didn't clean the facility good enough, whatever it might be, whatever industry you're in, there's fires for them to put out. Okay. And you're going to see from the data, it's very common data. It's very widely known data that 80% of sales require 5 follow-ups. Now, this is old data. It's now more like 20. But 80% of sales require 5 follow-ups after the initial contact. But 45% of salespeople give up after 1. And you're going to see that only 8% of salespeople follow up after 5 times. Now, why? There's lots of reasons for that. And one of the reasons is they don't have a system. They think, oh, I need to follow up and with this guy or this gal. And then they have a couple fires they have to go put out. And then they have, the weekend, and then something happens. And before long, they sit down. Okay, now all the dust is settled. Now I can prospect. It's been 3 weeks. It's been a month. That lead is dead. I remember being a manufacturer's rep, and I would go into town and I would work with the sales guys, and we'd get people interested. And so many times I would pick up the phone 4 weeks, 5 weeks later, and follow up with the rep and say, how's things going with XYZ? Yeah, just about to drop it off. I'm just about to do this. I'm just about to do that. I'm like, seriously? 4 to 6 weeks later? It's over. It's gone. The enthusiasm is done. It's done. So You have to have a system in place. And so having a system in place is going to help you with the follow-up. And that's where lead flows come in. And we'll get into that in another video. But the reason you need to have a system set up in place is because this is a great image I got from Sticky Branding, is that 3% of buyers are active buyers. 3% of who you're calling on are ready to buy. They're going to buy. 7% intend to change, but those that happens, they intend to change, but then fires for them happen. Deals stall. They get the shits, right? Show high interest in stalls. So that's what happens. And then the lower 90%, 30% have a need but aren't ready to act. 30% do not have a need, and 30% not interested in your company. Okay, so you want to have a system in place for each of these levels. So, and you don't want to rely on your salespeople to do that. You want them to focus on the 3% of active buyers and maybe the 7% that intend to change. But the rest, have your systems in place with lead flows and a system that's going to help you. And so that is the message for today. The message for today is don't put all the weight on your salespeople. They don't. They're pulled in many different directions. It's not fair to them, and there are systems that can help them. So help them with the lead generation using technology. And then when you have warm sales ready leads, allow the salespeople to get to make contact, because salespeople are great when there's interest. They're like dog on a bone. They're not letting it go, right? But the follow up and that is lacking because they get stimulated by the fires and by the potential customers that are really interested. So I hope you found this of value. Recognize having a system in place is the trick. Having a system in place is going to help you grow your business faster. And it's going to be the long game by having a system in place. Having everything, just your sales rep just do everything, is kind of the short game and hoping for a miracle. Hope you found this of value, and I'll talk to you and see you in the next video.